Hello and welcome to Ideas with Diana, a special edition on the September 17th, 2022. Um, this edition will talk about a system that I developed and updated throughout the years that actually runs all the way on up to Windows 11, Windows 10, various flavors of Linux. And it originally started in the late 1980s and early 1970s as a research I did in cognitive psychology and in human problem solving. What the program is about is system ITS61. It's available for lease or exclusive contract. Best way to contact me, as I said in previous shows, at Twitter at ideas at Diana1A. Again, Twitter at Diana1A. Or if also the website is Kaneki, kanecki.webs.com, which you'll see in the title screen. So just go back to the beginning of the program, you'll see the website. So just remember the word connect, but basically think of it connect with a K and ending with an I. So kanecki.webs.com. What this program does is most programs that involve AI and problem solving, even used today like that, use data trees or decision trees to solve this. What my program does is my program uses how would the actual human brain work, because the human brain has 12 ganglia, and let me see if I can find a reference here. Just a minute. Hold on, almost there. Just have to work a little bit to get this thing out here. Come on. Well, teach me a lot. But here, let me just look. Now, let's use the book by Stuart Irwin Fox on human physiology. So let's go back and look for the index of the brain. Let's go and almost there. Brain specific parts, let's see. Brains, okay, let's see. So, about page 473. Let's see if that's, let's see. Okay, well, here's a good one right here about changing blood flow in the brain. Well, changing blood flow is related to thought and as to how do people think, because, for example, in this description it says a subject is following a moving object with his eyes. High activity is seen over the occipital lobe visual cortex. Or another one, a subject is listening to words. High activity is seen over the temporal lobe auditory cortex. So this will serve our purpose. Well, now the way ITS works is basically what I did is rather than just have the computer do a game tree, I thought, well, how could I actually make a computer think like an actual living organism? So in the human brain has 12 neuroganglia. In my ITS says 8. So I thought, okay, well, let's start from a neuroganglia perspective. But now, what do we do with this neuroganglia? How do we process it? Well, I use some certain cognitive psychology methods available to process the information. And let me just get another reference here. Hold on. Now, what I'm going to show you, this book is from 2008. This is a book by Goldstein on cognitive psychology, but my reference is based upon earlier books that he has written. So when I think about cognitive psychology, I thought, well, okay, how can I make cognitive psychology so we can make the computer work with the computer interface and the blood-brain interface, as I showed you in that chart. Well, the thing is, at that time, I used different books, but basically it was how to make this. So I made this, the way I made this, I thought, well, okay, let's use the thing of simulation. So let's use simulation to cover this, what I'll call this a gap. Let's use simulation to cover this gap. So it's sort of like interfacing a peripheral. So how do you interface a peripheral so one peripheral can communicate with another peripheral, but they have two different electrical systems and other things? And so part of the thing is I thought about when I had my pre-med training and my applied computer science training is we used in computer science we used to hook up devices like a teletype or things. We used opto isolators. So how can we make display area into like an opto isolator? And that's what ITS is. ITS is like an opto isolator for the biological part of the human body and to interface the computer part. So at that time I couldn't do research with actual people, so I thought, well, okay, let's do it through simulation. And some people say, well, you only did this on chess. There's a reason why I only did this using chess, because I have issues about human research, and I have concerns about even animal research, about sometimes that basically it's overused and sometimes it's abused. So that's why I did on computer. That's why it's limited to the computer and had the computer simulate various personalities. And when I did this, the first programs run on the Osborne 1. Again, as I mentioned before, with 4 megahertz, 1/1000th the speed of today's computer, 64 kilobytes, 1/1000th of today's computer. And it ran in a time allowed for FIDE, actually faster than FIDE time. So what I'm going to show you now is a program that actually was expanded in 1997. And it actually has 3 different neural processing modules. This is using neural processing module 1. And let's get it started here. And let's see. And let's see what will take. Just takes a few minutes for it to start. Let's see. Let's see what happened. Okay, let's start this again. Let's see. Let's start this again. That's just what happened was I should have planned this out a little bit better, but let's take a look. But you learn from demonstrations, because even at Comdex there's a famous CEO at Comdex who demonstrated a new feature of Windows, and Windows crashed and everyone said Control Alt Delete. So everyone is we're all big enough to admit when we make mistakes like that. So let's do this again. And the reason why I don't edit my videos is because I believe that basically it's important for people to realize, the world is not perfect, and if someone's expecting perfection, they're really living in a delusional world. So there we go. All right. So when we see how this is, there we go. Now, when you watch this, this is the whoops. Now, when you watch this, you'll notice this is demonstrating ITS, and this is demonstrating ITS in such a way that you can sort of see exactly what's being put on there. The thing about it with this system now, it's simulating 2 neural profiles. One with Boris Spassky's 1972 profile playing white, and Robert Fisher's 1972 profile playing black. Now you may ask, well, basically, how did you simulate these profiles? Well, let's start with the 5 questions of Kipling. First, I told you as to what profiles are being simulated. Boris Spassky of 1972 and Robert Fisher of 1972. Where did I obtain the information? Okay, good question. I obtained the information from past chess matches. based on past chess matches, I was able to feed this data into a secondary system of intelligent thinking systems, which is used to generate the neural profile. Where were these sources obtained? Some of these sources were obtained from books I bought from a bookstore, other from books that I had from a library. When did I do this research? Well, this research originally started in the 1970s because I was very enthused about Robert Fisher and how he used the Finn channel methods to defeat Boris Spassky. Just a minute, let me get another pop. Excuse me while I get another pop here. Oh, just a minute, I'll be right there. Hold on. I'm almost there, just a minute. Excuse me for being not having these all set ahead of time. I do my scripts as I now during the 70s. This is a book that I studied. 200 modern chess traps in the fianchetto openings. There we go. As you can see, it's a very rare book. It's a book that's hard to find because when I went to order this on Amazon, at one point it was $275 to order this book. And the thing is, when you look at it, let me just show you some things here. This is some of the table of contents, which will hold up. King's Indian Defense, Queen's Indian Defense, Grunfeld, Modern Obanoni, Nimzo Indian Defense, and English and ready openings. So when you look at this book, you can see how the games are, and this is how I used just past matches to develop the neural profile for the neural profile. An interesting thing about the neural profile is I didn't develop ITS61 first, which is 3D chess. I actually developed what is called Chess F0, and Chess F0 is the 2D version, and it was in a broke an AI conundrum because it was, can you actually do this decision making without having to use the minimax method, game theory, or even a massive computer, and I demonstrated that the power of neural networks, now called machine learning, could do this. I published an original paper online in 1989 in the Neuron Digest, and when Peter read it, who was the moderator at that time, and he was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, he said, "Boy, you really broke a conundrum. You solved a great problem." And what happened was everyone saw it, and then from that point I was able to do more research and get a refereed paper published in the 1992 Simulation Conference Proceedings. This time using an Osborne 1 and also porting over to then an IBM PC. Well, by the time 1993 came, it didn't take me as long to update the program to do 3 dimensions, because what I realized when I did with 3 dimensions, just like people say, age is only a number, 3 dimensions is only a number too. Because the reason why is because with ITS, I didn't have to change anything in this basically opto-isolated ITS processing environment. I could use the same neural profile and it would evaluate the resources um, expertly the same way that it did in a 2D environment, and actually it could play the game better and faster. Again, I published the results in Neuron Digest first, and when Peter saw it, he said, "You did it again. You broke another AI conundrum about 3D chess." And now, so what happened was when it came to the 1993 paper, I published it. Um, and both of them were very groundbreaking. And people said, "Well, you're just using another form of game research." No, this is actually a form of biological solving using ganglia. And as you can see in the flashing board there, it gives a reason for the moves. It shows the status of different ganglia, and then it shows a sorted list of what pieces are being processed first, and eventually now I'll make a sorted list, and the next step will present a reason why a move was done, and you can see it. And what happens, I've slowed this down because this can actually solve this problem in about 1 minute, even on a slower computer. So when I demonstrated this, people said, "Wow, this is great." And after a while, I added some other things. I started to think about cognition. Memory is not just linear. Many people think, well, I'm going to draw a map here. And as I said, I like to do my shows basically in vivo, live, so you see all the warts or other things. Many people think of memory as this. A time basically you have ups and downs and such and such and such and such. Okay, well that's when you look at the thing from the outside collectively. But really, what I discovered in ITS, and even in further studies in cognitive science, memory is not linear. Memory is a packet of experience. So think of it this one. P represents your packet of experience. Maybe when you're in college, after graduation, 10 years after college, 20 years after college. So what happens in time, even though you may come upon different situations, same situation, your neural profile will react to your experience too. So what happens is when you look at this, and then when we take, let's see if I got a colored pen here. Hold on. When we take the collective drawing of this, let's do a corrective drawing. Okay. Now when we do a collective drawing, the corrective drawing looks like this, but the actual subparts are the packet, and that's the second component of ITS that I added in about 1997, and that was what won me award with the Cambridge Hot Topics from Cambridge University in England. In addition, in 2003, hold on, let me get another prop. Just to let the elephant out in the room, though, some of you may have noticed that maybe my mannerisms or something else is not completely female. Yes, I transitioned in 2001, and formally was able to transition a few years later. But until a few years later, I did like many people. Basically, I worked under my family name, and then basically was paid under my. But here's the award that I received as International Professional of the Year from basically the International Biological Center in Cambridge, England, in July 21st of July 2005. And this was before I formally transitioned as Diana. And part of this was due for ITS61, also for work I did at SES in Emergency Management Planning. So let me just put it up a little bit so you can see it. And another award I won at the same time was an American version, which is Stratford's Who's Who. And let me move this up a little bit so you can see it. And this award was basically as a lifetime member, along with my PhD. So when I developed these programs, I developed these programs as a researcher and also as a cognitive psychologist, and as well as a scientist. In addition, as a humanist, to examine the human condition and also figure out how we could do human problem solving better to solve world problems. My thing was not about basically making the biggest buck, because I really, if I went by making the biggest buck, this would be considered a poor investment, because I really haven't been paid a lot like this. I have a lot of intellectual property, but I haven't been paid for. So I did this more as a humanist. And some of this I did put out on basically SourceForge, that you can take a look on SourceForge to see what's available there. And I'll show you a website of that in just a minute, though. But when you see this program running, you can see when move 12. And what the flashing pieces mean is those under attack. And the reason I made this is to make it like a stats board. So if we were doing a simulation, we could actually see how could this impact a community, a region, or something else. The point, and from this I was able to develop other neural profiles of different strategists from China, worldwide, England, others. And even a famous Russian chess master who made notoriety in the late 1990s regarding a famous match that he had, and that though. And the thing is, I can agree with this assertion that basically he felt that the reason why the match ended the way it did was human beings are not meant to be run like machines, keep going and going and going. You have to have your mind have a rest. And so basically I can admit that basically maybe there probably was fatigue that led to the outcome of the famous 1998 match. However, he did found a company that actually did develop various types of computer systems and problem-solving systems in Russia, as well as the United States. And with this system at Connected Associates, we had this since 1989. It's available for lease. It's available for exclusive contract. Just contact me at Diana1A, and let me know what you think, because we do have things that we have other things we'd like to show, and we'll be making other videos. Now, before we leave, let me do one other thing here before we leave. Let me take you to our SourceForge site. Let me do it this way here. Let's see. What can I do here? Let's take this and let's move this down here. Let's see. And let's go to. As you can see, I like to watch YouTube videos as I like 1980s music like that, though. So let's. There we go, SourceForge. And let's see. Okay, let's do sourceforge.net. And okay, let's just log in. Let me just do it that way there. Let me log in a little bit. Remember me. Okay, And hold on for just a minute while I switch back. So, because I have to use an authenticator, so um, I just want to, like everyone else today, I use two-factor authentication. So let's just do it that way. Um, and I'll just type in the authentication code. And we'll get that there. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what happened. There's let's see. And there we go. All right. Let's go back to. Okay. Now, what happens when you go to this? What you're going to see is you're going to see. So let me just go back here so we can show you. That shows Diana Konecki, Fashion Theater, Rapid Application Development. I also do projects for the theater, as well as the film industry, and in arts. And you can see members since 2011, based in Chicago. You can see my phone number. Now, some open source projects, let me go through it. Decision Profile. Decision Profile helps you pick out and categorize critical decisions. So, for example, if it's an either or, you have to decide either or. What type of decision do you make? KArt7 is a program I made during the pandemic as a way for someone just to have a little fun. What it does, it's a random abstract art program. It will make a random abstract art picture for you in real time, and keep making and continuing. It's a little bit of a diversion that I made during the pandemic for many people who are shut in. K-flow cytometry quick analysis. Now this is part of my flow cytometry package that I developed during my experience as a medical researcher. On older computers in the 90s, it could do 10,000 samples per hour on a batch mode basis. It worked with Becton Dickinson, Coulter, and Beckman flow cytometers. I guess now it's Beckman Coulter. So it worked with all different flow cytometers. Worked with FCS 2.0, FCS 3.0. Currently, the program does not work with ACS. I'm working on developing an add-on to work with ACS files, but does work with FCS 2.0, FCS 3.0, FCS 3.1. Boy, what a mouthful. Case Simple OS is a program that I developed for a special emulator processor that we're willing to license as well. And this processor has special codes so that basically to avoid various hacker things as extending the buffer, self-modifying code, and others. So basically, it makes it so that the code can't be modified. You can't do a buffer overwrite, and you can't do an SQL overwrite, among other common tactics, to keep your code secure. And it uses a way to check to make sure that it has a special process to check to make sure that the code in each instruction is valid before it even runs it. And it does this quickly so it doesn't waste computer time. So it does this extra security stuff and still runs the program quickly. Now, intelligent thinking solving is part of the ITS system that I put in open source to show exactly what some of the things that we have done as far as artificial intelligent thinking and Eastern and Western artificial intelligent thinking solving. So the thing to do is before we go, let me show you one of the programs in open source on this. So let's just so remember, basically when you search, it's Diana Konecki. On the username is Diana1K, and then decision profile, KArt7, K Simple OS, and intelligent thinking systems. All our systems start with a K, so we have Konecki Prolog, which is KPR. And except for the ITS system that starts with an I, but most of our systems start with a K. So now let me go through and demonstrate another one of our ITS system, which is similar to basically our other ITS systems. Let me just hold on a minute here. Let me just switch back to talk while I get this set up here. There we go. Let's see. Do it again. Okay. Move this over here. Okay, let's see what I'm going to have to do. Just a minute, I just have to do one other special attachment just to operate this. And what happens is you learn a lot from doing things, so and that also like that. So let's just go to let's see. Let's see. Almost there. Hold on, bear with me. Let's see. Let's see. Almost. And let's see. Okay, so I think I found it. Let's see. Let's see. Whoops. And we're just having the computer check it out because the file hasn't been run in a while. So, all right, there we go. Now we got it set up. Whoops. Hold on just a minute. And let's see how we're doing here. What we're going to have to do is swing this down just a little bit. Move there up. There we go. Okay, now this is our other program. This is the AlphaGo series. I'm demonstrating BetaGo, which was developed in 2004, and AlphaGo was developed in 2003. So I decided to try ITS on a different mindset. So basically, how could it solve Eastern problem solving? In Eastern problem solving, the method used to solve is by basically playing the game of Go. Now, other people have developed programs called AlphaGo years later, but mine was first. And also, there actually is a copyright that shows AlphaGo, which I'll show you in just a moment. But let me just show an example. Many people think Go is a very slow game to play, but let's just. The advantage that I had with Go is that basically I was able to use it to simulate various types of things. Like first thing what I did was I added a feature called first capture. First capture means, well, choose the best option to reduce the number of to turn the most number of resources for your opponent, or choose the traditional option to balance turning your opponent but gaining territory. So let's do first capture. And then what I did was, this in Beta Go I added 3 players playing on the same board instead of 2. So what happens, let's assume we have the Blackstone play Al Qaeda, and let's do, that does the best option. So what we do is first we read the parameters, and whoops, I'm going to have to let's see. Okay, let's and you can sort of see it says read parameters. So now what we're going to do is, now let's run it. Now as you watch, you can see that basically it's going to start putting the different pieces on there as to how it's going to go. And it's actually doing a certain thing where it's going to calculate. Well, let's see. Let's find a better example than this. Let's go back and find a better example than this. So let's switch out. Let me try to find a better example here. And that, so we'll switch out and we'll go back to basically, let's see. All right, let's do the AlphaGo. Let's do this. Let's do AlphaGo version 2 right there. Let's see. And let's see. And let's see. Let's go application. There we go. Now, when you look at AlphaGo, you'll see an AlphaGo with a picture. And now what happens, you'll see it has a message screen that where each of our programs has a way that you enter a certain key code. So let me just switch back while I enter the key code. And let's see, go back. Okay, let's make this a little bit. Let's see. Let's see, can we? There we go, let's do that. Now the reason why I have a picture, sort of like a Photoshop of me on the program, is it's a way to make sure that basically to let people know that this is my program, and not to claim that it's theirs. And I pick Photoshops of different types of fashions, so like different types of designers. And that. So let me show you examples before. Let's just do traditional Al Qaeda black. Let's do read parameters. So these are parameters. Now it's run the program. Now, as you can see, basically AlphaGo, it's doing a goal match where basically white and black are occupying different pieces of the board. Now, for example, in a famous documentary called AlphaGo, made by another company, it showed that it took them a long time to get to the first move state, but things went faster. Now with mine, you can see by using this opto-isolated cognitive human brain simulation processing to use human cognition and biological reasoning, how fast this can go and how accurate. On the bottom, you can see the screen and the reasoning. Now this is slowed down for half a second each time, but you can see basically it's zooming right through. I mean, basically we're getting quite a bit, and you can also see how many pieces, how much territory is covered, and how many pieces have been captured, available Now the program is already stopped, so you can see it's 71 moves. We did about maybe 2 minutes. And when you look at this, let's see if I can zoom this. If I can, well, let me just sort of. If you look on the bottom, let's go up to the bottom of the screen here. Let's see if we can zoom this back up to the top. There we go. You can see the parameter list as it's read, going down through different decision-making processes, then showing the neural network just like in the original ITS, and then making a decision, and then again doing it again, and stuff like that though. So, you know, when you think of all this, so this is very interesting, because basically you can see how fast ITS works, and that this works on Windows 10 as well as Linux and other systems. When you license the source code or agree to do a technology transfer of the system, we'll give you the full source code that includes Linux, Windows, of the current source code. And the processes we use to develop this are mostly Delphi RAD System 10X. Right now we're using Delphi RAD 10.4, and we use Lazarus, supportable all the way up from 1.6 to the current level. In addition, we do plain vanilla coding so that you can see and you can easily modify this. And with the module, we can also provide you with an additional contract the service module, so that you can take various cases and develop specific neural profiles to simulate various types of human actors in this. So again, the best way I prefer to be contacted is by Twitter at Diana1A. I'm interested in your comments, and I'd like to thank you for watching this presentation. This has been a special production of Ideas with Diana, episode 35/1, and please feel free to share your comments.